Hello everyone, with the Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Sunday evening, November 9, 2025. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you all like this video. I'd really appreciate it if you all get this video to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak months of Atlantic hurricane season. That's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Please ensure that you all utilize the progress bar that's located at the bottom of the video, as well as the timestamps that are located not only in the comment section but the video description, so that you can skip to the points in the video that you want to see the most in order to save time, because we know that the video is over here with the Jamaica can be very long. Leave a comment down below letting me know what the dads be like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, taking a look at the US National Hurricane Center 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook that just came out at 6:13 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 6:13 p.m. Jamaica time. We can see that tropical cyclone activity is not expected during the next 7 days, and this is the reason why not much of anything here across the Atlantic. Some frontal systems, if not troughs, right here just to the east of the US across the northern portion of North Atlantic. Clouds associated with the intertropical convergence zone across the southern main development region. Nothing really noteworthy at all. And we know that if something should form after Melissa, we know the next name is Nestor. Taking a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, we can see broken orange lines associated with that trough now affecting portions of the Dominican Republic. And we see the red line associated with the intertropical convergence zone, and we can see the ridge of high pressure to the north that we know is responsible for sending all of the low to mid-level clouds from east-west across the main development region into the Caribbean. If we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before we lost sunlight, we can make out the clouds associated with that trough that are now bringing some overcast skies, if not some thundershower activity, to portion of the Dominican Republic as we speak. And we can see the clouds associated with the intertropical convergence zone right here, extending from Africa across the southern main development region, all the way over sometimes into portions of northeastern South America. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Sunday, November 9, 2025. It was stated that rainfall could have been in the forecast for parts of some northern and western parishes during Sunday afternoon. And we know northern parishes, we're talking about those parishes on top, like Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland. While western parishes, you know, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, like Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, Westmoreland, and St. Elizabeth. But what ended up happening? Something quite different, because at around 8:06 a.m. the visible satellite images were posted not only here on our Twitter page with the Jamaica, but they were also posted on our Instagram page with the .Jamaica, on our TikTok page with the Jamaica, and on our Facebook page with the Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there as we make posts throughout the day that you cannot afford to miss. So at that time, we saw some clouds coming into sections of eastern Jamaica in the morning hour, and we didn't really see that on the year on the GFS, so we got some stray morning showers coming into sections of Portland and sections of St. Thomas. I definitely got in on the morning rainfall that forced me to pick up my clothes from off of the line. Boy, we didn't expect that rainfall at all, but we're grateful for the little cool down from the heat of the sun for sure. Then by afternoon now, the visible satellite image was posted at around 5:06 p.m. and it only highlighted some clouds bringing some overcast skies, if not some isolated shower activity, to sections of Manchester, sections of maybe northeastern St. Elizabeth, so to sections of central Hanover. Nothing really significant at all. We see some clouds across St. Anne, but nothing worthy of bringing us rainfall across that area at all. And if we take a look back at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before we lost sunlight, we can make out what took place. The clouds were mainly across sections of some central into western parishes, extending from Clarendon all the way over into St. Elizabeth and Hanover. And even the inferred right here, confirming that we didn't get that much in the way of thunderstorm activity. This was what was predicted for isolated rainfall, nothing serious. No cumulonimbus clouds, no sparkling white dust that represent lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes at all across the island today. But tomorrow is going to be a bit different. If we even take a look here at the live camera here from C Jamaica's YouTube channel, this is showing Maypen, Clarendon, at around, what time is this? This was around 1:17 p.m. as you can see from the timestamp at the bottom. And at that time it was a bit cloudy, but nothing in lieu of bad weather taking place at that time. As you can see here, people walking about, going about their business, people in their vehicles going about their business over there in Maypen. And if you'd like to see more live streams like this, just visit See Jamaica on YouTube. They have these live streams all for you all to view for free. So subscribe today to this channel so that you don't miss out. And we definitely have some comments that came in here from some of our followers about what the weather was like in their area today. We have Canada Man stating Portland had night rains. We also have Cassandra Willis stating no rain where I'm in Jamaica, that's St. Mary. Even had a few comments that came in here on our Facebook page. Katie and Allen stating rain in Portland, thank you for confirming. We have Bruce Orville Chong stating overcast sky halfway tree, and Denise Young Kingston overcast. And we even have a few comments that came in here on our Instagram page at Super Duper Kimmy stating bright and sunny here in Old Harbor. And finally we have Marlon _one God _ stating hot in his area. Alright, so let us reload the very latest still image here from the Weather Nerds website. Let us see what's happening right now. Alright, so the latest still image is showing 0045 UTC, which is actually 7:45 p.m. So this just came out 12 minutes ago, considering that it is 7:57 p.m. right now. And as you can see, nothing in the way of cloud cover across the island at all. Everything has definitely cleared out. Jamaican Doppler radar still glitched out. The Cuban Doppler radar, let us reload that. Let us also reload the Guantanamo Bay US Navy radar and the latest Cayman radar. We want to see what's happening right now. So the latest Cuban Doppler radar looks like it glitched out at around 6:40 p.m. and at that time not really much of anything was taking place. If you see the greens, yellows, oranges, reds and pinks across land here in Jamaica, that's just a glitch on the Doppler radar. That's called ground clutter, so don't think that it's actually raining up there on the north coast at all. That's not happening, especially considering that we're not seeing it on the latest infrared right here. Regarding the Guantanamo Bay US Navy radar, not seeing much of anything on this imagery either. We see some rainfall right here just to the northwest of Guantanamo across southeastern Cuba. Nothing across northeastern Jamaica or the western peninsula of Haiti. Regarding what's happening here on the Cayman radar, not much of anything across western Jamaica. But we do see some hit or miss isolated showers here and there across central Cuba, and some rainfall, light to moderate rainfall at that, just to the west of Grand Cayman. Taking a look here at the live camera from See Jamaica's YouTube channel, showing the Bogwalk Gorge, showing the flat bridge in St. Catherine. As you can see here, we have people driving about, going about their business. Nothing in the way of bad weather taking place over there. People in their vehicles going about their business. Definitely dry conditions, and that should be the order of the evening into the night. Rear Cobra still sending a lot of murky water downstream. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, we can today with 27 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 26 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and by about 4 a.m., well 5 a.m. on Monday, temperature should get down to about 25 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 24 degrees Celsius in Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow. This map from the GFS is valid for AT&T on Monday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Monday. And we can see Jamaica right here embedded in some yellows that represents up to at least 1 degree Celsius above normal temperatures. I know the normal temperature for the month of November across Jamaica is around 88 degrees Fahrenheit. When that's converted to degrees Celsius that we use here in Jamaica, that's around 31.1 degrees Celsius. So we should be receiving anywhere from 31.1 to 32.1 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature on Monday. And we're grateful that we don't see any maintenance outage advisories here from my JPS online Twitter page for any part of the island that is with power, because you know that one of our power outages somewhere across the island can definitely make the heat feel even worse because we don't have our fan or our AC to cool us down. But unfortunately, there are some people who still don't have their fan or their AC to cool them down. But JPS is still working on those persons who are affected by Melissa. We have some updates here. We have Shani stating cousin said power has been restored in Exchange St. Anne. Thank you for your hard work, my JPS online. And we also have another one here from the JPS. They posted it 4 hours ago. St. Catherine, our crews are still working 24/7 across the island. We're tackling tough terrain, limited connectivity, and changing weather. We know it's not easy, and we thank you for your patience. We're committed to restoring power safely and quickly. So hopefully everybody gets back power very soon, especially before Christmas, because boy, Christmas would be ruined. Well, it's already ruined for a lot of people. So, alright, so we have some tips right here to beat the heat as usual. So if tomorrow is going to be a bit too hot for you, it states here: dress down, wear lightweight clothing, and use sunscreen. Check on others, including children, elderly people with medical conditions, and pets. Be cool, stay indoors, and make use of fans and air conditioners. Avoid alcohol and caffeine as they can make dehydration worse. Limit non-essential strenuous activity during the hottest parts of the day. And I cannot stress enough the importance of staying hydrated throughout the day. Drink lots of water even if you're not thirsty, and put away those sugar drinks and drink water instead. Taking a look at the dry air map, we know that the dry air is represented by what we see here on the key on the bottom. That's the yellows, the oranges, the reds, and the whites within those rays, and we can see a lot of dry air extending all the way from Africa across the main Devoma region into the eastern Caribbean. A lot of dry air off the east coast of the US down into the Gulf. We know that the dry air is responsible for keeping the atmosphere stable, shutting it down in general, making it harder for it to rain. But look at that. We're seeing a lot of blues that represent moisture across the central to the western Caribbean, even into the Bahamas. A lot of moist air where we have the intertropical convergence zone, and we don't want the moist air at all, because moist air brings clouds, and clouds bring rain, and especially those persons in the west who don't have a roof, I doubt they want the rainfall at this time. Regarding the Saharan dust forecast for the next 3 days, so we're heading into November 10, November 11, and November 12. And as you can see here, across the Caribbean, not much in the way of Saharan dust at all. We know that the Saharan dust is represented by the greens, yellows, oranges, and pinks. And we don't see that at all, and we're grateful, because the Saharan dust can definitely cause hazy skies, not to mention trigger respiratory illnesses in people. So we're grateful that this is the forecast for the Saharan dust for the next 3 days. Regarding the wave forecast for tomorrow, we're starting to see the waves churning up across the Gulf, where that frontal system is expected to push over into. We also see the waves across the Caribbean expected to churn up as well. We know the drill. The light shades of blues, that's 0.5 for meter wave height. The blues, that's 1 to 1.5 meter wave height. So darker blues into the pinks, that's 2 to 2.5 meter wave height. And that's because of the winds that are expected. We see some strong northerly winds across the Gulf, averaging maybe 25 to 30 knots. Across the Caribbean, more so from the east, averaging anywhere from 5 to 10 to 15, maybe even up to 20 knots, especially where we have the yellows. 25 knots right here to the north of Colombia, in and around the ABC Islands, to the south of Hispaniola and southeast of Jamaica. And if we zoom in on Jamaica's wave forecast for tomorrow, for the fisher folk, to the north of Portland, 1.2 meter wave height expected. To the north of St. Anne, 0.7 for meter wave height expected. To the north of Hanover, 0.5 for meter wave height expected. To the south of Westmoreland, 0.8 for meter wave height expected. To the south of Clarendon, 1.1 meter wave height expected. While to the south of St. Thomas, we're talking about 1.7, 1.6 meter wave height expected. And that's because of the winds that are expected across the island from the east tomorrow. And we see that the winds are weaker on the north coast, averaging only about 7 knots to the north of St. Anne, averaging up to 14 knots to the south of St. Thomas, 12 knots to the south of Clarendon. And we see where the air is expected to pile up across section of some central and western parishes. So whatever comes off of the sea from the east, definitely going to be getting out some amount of rainfall from that tomorrow. And the upper level winds still seem to be coming in from the southwest. So if we actually get some thunderstorms to formulate, those cloud tops would be sheared off towards the northeast. And if we actually take a look at the rainfall forecast maps now, this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both valid for 7 a.m. Jamaica time. And we see the blues represent rainfall across the waters to our east. Some of the rainfall already coming into the eastern end, maybe a section of St. Thomas, Portland. We'll see how that plays out. Then by around 2 p.m. Jamaica time, we see that both the Euro and the GFS modes are in agreement that there should be rainfall across sections of some eastern, central, and western parishes for sure. We see that on both maps, especially on the GFS, where the GFS is usually right with the 1 day rainfall forecast. We're seeing St. Thomas, Portland, section of Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Mary, sections of St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, sections of St. Anne, Trelawney, St. James, maybe Westmoreland. The Euro a bit more robust with the darker blues and the greens in there. We'll see how this actually plays out. And even the total accumulated precipitation forecast maps here are showing that there's going to be rainfall somewhere in Jamaica within the next 24 hours. The Euro going up to at least 0.23 of an inch of rainfall. The GFS going up to at least 0.53 of an inch of rainfall. And we just have to take it. We're in the month of November, and in St. James, whose bar graph is being shown right here, we usually receive 128 millimeters of rainfall this month. That's about the same as 5 inches of rainfall. While in St. Elizabeth, we usually receive 92 millimeters of rainfall this month. That's about the same as 3.6 inches of rainfall. And if you'd like to find out what your specific parish usually receives in terms of rainfall for the month of November, you can visit nomadseason.com, and that website will show you that information. Alright, so we're going to be looking at what the next 7 days have in store for us, according to the latest Euro and GFS supercomputer model runs that came out today. So keep your eyes focused on the timestamp right here at the top as we go out to the next one, John 68 hours. That stands for the next 7 days. Keep your eyes focused on Jamaica right here as well as we look for all of this that we see on the key on the right. The reds, the oranges, the yellows, and the greens represent inches of rainfall. So let's see what's going to be taking place. Alright, so we just look at Monday's forecast. Now it's time to look at what's expected on Tuesday. 12th on Tuesday is actually 7 a.m. and we see a lot of moisture to the west of Jamaica. We see a lot of that moisture into eastern Jamaica as well. Then on Tuesday afternoon, we're still seeing that moisture across eastern, central, and western parishes. A lot of it more so across the southern Bahamas into eastern Cuba and the western Caribbean and Central America. What does the GFS show us that frontal system pushes in? Tuesday morning, just like the Euro, rainfall across the northeast, maybe even the western end as well. Then on Tuesday afternoon, we're seeing that rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. What does the Euro show for Wednesday morning? On Wednesday morning, we're seeing a lot of rainfall across the north coast and the eastern end. Then on Wednesday afternoon, rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. The GFS, what does it show? Wednesday morning, rainfall across the northern and eastern end. Wednesday afternoon, we're seeing rainfall across sections of some eastern, northern, and western parishes. What do we see on Thursday morning? On the Euro, we're seeing some isolated showers across the northeast. We're seeing a lot of rainfall across the western Caribbean too, Belize into the Yucatan and the Cayman Islands. Then on Thursday afternoon, we're seeing that rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. What does the GFS show? For Thursday morning, we're seeing rainfall across some northern parishes. We're also seeing that moisture extending from the Cayman Islands into the Yucatan and Belize. And we're seeing a lot of that moisture into the southwestern Caribbean. By the way, did you notice that system that the GFS was pointing out to the east of Nicaragua has dwindled down to nothing? Just to show you that we can't believe anything that the GFS says on its own. You have to work with what both the Euro and the GFS models as well as what the Hurricane Center is working with. You can't just believe anything that these models show. They always change. So that's the Euro, the GFS. For Thursday morning, rainfall across the north and east. For Thursday afternoon, rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. Then we're heading into Friday morning on the Euro. Friday morning, maybe some isolated showers up north. Then on Friday afternoon, we're seeing the rainfall across sections of some eastern, northern, and western parishes. What does the GFS show? Friday morning, rainfall up north as well. Then on Friday afternoon, rainfall across what looks like some central and western parishes. What do we see on Saturday morning? On Saturday morning, maybe some rainfall across the northeastern end. Then on Saturday afternoon, we're seeing rainfall across sections of some eastern, central, and western parishes. And we're going to be stopping it right at the end of the 1 John 68 hours. So let me find that we're talking about this right here. So this is valid for Sunday, November 16. And we're not really seeing much of anything across Jamaica. We're seeing what looks like another frontal system starting to push eastward into the eastern US as well as the Gulf. We'll see if that actually makes it down into the Jamaica area as well by next week, if not week after next week. And if we take a look at the GFS's forecast for Saturday and Sunday, Saturday morning, not much of anything. Saturday afternoon, maybe some rainfall across sections of some eastern, central, western parishes. And just like on the Euro, we're stopping it right here at the end of the 1 John 68 hours. So this is also valid for Sunday, November 16. Don't really see much of anything across Jamaica, maybe some isolated shores out east. But just like the Euro, we're seeing that moisture associated with what should be another frontal system starting to push towards the eastern end of the United States. And if we take a look at the total accumulated precipitation for the next 7 days, both maps right here from the Euro and the GFS are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until Sunday, November 16. And we're still seeing the dark reds into the purples, into the pinks, into the peach colors, into the slight blues. That represents anywhere from 2 all the way to maybe up to 10, 12 inches of rainfall, especially here. So we're talking about sections of Central America into Northern South America, sections of the Cuba area into the southeastern Bahamas. And we're seeing that it's not only the Euro that's showing this, but the GFS. So those areas could get some amount of isolated flash flooding for sure, especially into Belize, Honduras, Costa Rica right here. That's a lot of rainfall. While other areas that are shaded in the greens, yellows, oranges, and reds should get in on at least an inch of rainfall or less. And we're going to be confirming that right now with Jamaica's rainfall totals for the next 7 days. Both maps right here are showing all the rainfall that's expected across Jamaica from now up until Sunday, November 16. And we see Jamaica shaded in the blues, into the greens, especially into the yellows across the northeastern end. That represents anywhere from 10 millimeters of rainfall all the way to maybe 30, maybe 40 millimeters of rainfall, especially in the St. Mary, St. Thomas, Eastern St. Thomas, and Portland section. And we see that even the Euro is in agreement with that. Euro is trying to even incorporate sections of coastal St. Anne and even put portions of Portland into the oranges that represents maybe up to 50, maybe 60 millimeters of rainfall. We'll see how this actually plays out, and whatever happens, I will definitely be here to keep you posted with what occurs. Alright, so regarding what's happening across the rest of the Caribbean, we're seeing the low to mid-level clouds pushing from east to west. Some moisture within those clouds for sure. Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic definitely had their fair share of moisture today associated with that trough. You can see the clouds associated with that frontal system getting ready to push down towards the southeast, definitely bringing some rainfall. Not necessarily the cool air at all to us. We're not going to be getting on the cool temperatures at all, it seems. It seems like by the time it heads down into us, it's going to be steered back to the west by that ridge of high pressure. But let us see what's happening near Puerto Rico right now. We can see not much of anything, some moisture associated with that trough in and around the Dominican Republic though. Loading these images from earlier today, we can see there was some decent moisture pushing off of northwestern Puerto Rico, pushing into the Dominican Republic as well. And if we take a look at the Barbados radar, we can make out some moisture pushing in from the east towards the west. Some of that moisture affected section of southern St. Lucia, pushing into St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada. So too Tobago got in on some of the action. And if we take a look at what we have Doppler radar images, we can see some rainfall across the Yucatan, northern Guatemala into Belize, Honduras, section of southeastern Nicaragua, Colombia, section of the Dominican Republic with that trough rainfall today. And regarding where the rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours, both maps right here from the Euro and the GFS are adamant that the most rainfall should be across sections of Belize. Look at that, we're seeing some dark reds into the purples, into the pinks. Maybe northwestern Honduras and eastern Guatemala getting on some of that too. We're talking about reds into purples, into pinks. That's 2 to 5 inches of rainfall for sure within the next 24 hours. And the GFS is in agreement with that. While other areas that are shaded in the greens, yellows, oranges, and reds, that's up to 1 inch of rainfall or less for portions of the Bahamas, Florida, Cuba, the Cayman Islands, Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, the US and British Virgin Islands, Anguilla, St. Martin, St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua and Barbuda, Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, section of Trinidad and Tobago, Guyana, Suriname, French Guiana, southern and western Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, sections of El Salvador and the Yucatan. And we see that it's not only the GFS that's showing this, but the Euro is showing something similar. So that's what's expected within the next 24 hours. And if we take a look at what's happening here across the Eastern Pacific, not much of anything. The 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook shows that tropical cyclone is not expected during the next 7 days. And this is the reason why a lot of wind shear here, clouds associated with the intertropical convergence zone, nothing organized or trying to get organized at this time. It doesn't look like we're going to be getting sunnier anytime soon. But regarding the Western Pacific, we have to highlight what's happening on the Western Pacific because we have a lot of friends or relatives who live or work in this part of the world. We're still watching Typhoon Fangwang that made landfall in the Philippines. I mean, look at that. It's now just to the west of mainland Philippines right here. They got lashed and I have the footage to prove it. I mean, yes, it's now to the west of there. But look what happened according to Volcaholic's Twitter page. If you haven't been following this page, you need to. They always let us stay informed with the happenings worldwide in terms of bad weather. They've stated here massive waves and a tidal surge slammed into the coastal areas of Gigmoto, Catanduanes in the Philippines this morning. Super Typhoon Fangwan, yes, it actually became a category 4 system, Super Typhoon for sure, right before landfall. Has now made landfall in Delangongang, Aurora. And we have the video here with the big waves. I mean, look at that. This is just crazy. That's like a whole tsunami. Another video right here. Oh, strong winds from Typhoon Fangwang blocking the suspension bridge in Camaligan town, Camarines in the Philippines this morning. Sorry if I'm butchering those places' name, but look at the bridge. Look at the bridge shaking. Well, that's a weak bridge, but come on, these bridges are possibly, historic. And we have this whole hurricane ripping up the area in general. Look at the strong winds. Oh, you can even see some of the cables breaking. Wouldn't be surprised if it's all the way down or mashed, destroyed by the time the hurricane is done. Another video right here. two grandmothers were nearly swept away by a huge wave that hit Dina. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce this, in the Philippines today because of the typhoon. But boy, these things happen when you have some big waves coming out of nowhere. So what happened? Yes, they were on the beach and a huge wave just came out of nowhere and surprised them. And I guess that's one of the grandmother right there that they have to be rushing to save. My goodness. These are the things that I'm talking about. I mean, why would you even be at the beach during a hurricane? You can have some rogue waves coming out of nowhere, and trust me, they're not going to be coming with warning. They're just going to be coming in, and then you have to take, run for cover. Another video right here. The poor girl is going to be traumatized for life. This was during the flooding caused by Typhoon Kalmegi last week. Oh, Kalmegi. This is a bit outdated, but why not show it? Look at this. On the roof because of the crazy flooding. I hope that she was okay. Look at the car up to her level on the roof there. That is crazy. Another one right here. Current visuals from another place in the Philippines shows intense winds and heavy rainfall as Typhoon Fangwang affects the area. Okay, so what looks like some apartments, if not hotel, and then the strong winds and the heavy rainfall. That's expected. Okay, and as you can see here, as stated, it is now just to the west of the mainland Philippines, packing 95 knots. So it was all the way up here. It was a super typhoon, so it was packing 113 to 136 knot winds. As of right now, it is packing 95 knots, so it's back down to category 2 status. You know that anything that has 84 to 95 knot winds are classified as category 2s. And look at what it's expected to do. It's expected to go over into the water, so move northwest, then north, then northeast, and then possibly clip western, if not northwestern Taiwan by around November 11 to 12. We see that there's a huge gap, so it's looking like it's starting to speed up from the time period from November 11 into November 12 right here, and then make landfall into the northern or northwestern parts of the Philippines as what looks like a maybe 65 knot system. Let's see, anywhere from 34 to 64 knots tropical storm, anywhere from 65 to 83 knots category 1 hurricane. So we'll see if it's actually going to be making it up to tropical storm status, or making it down to tropical storm status, if not category 1 status by the time it's about to make landfall. I'll definitely be here to keep you posted with whatever occurs. And as you can see here, it's expected to continue pushing out towards the east, maybe affecting the southern Japanese islands over here. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.